Narcissistic Father and Enabler Mother. My name is Jared Mello, the Wizard of Radical Self-Respect and the Shepherd of Black Sheep. And yes, before I go on, there absolutely can be a situation where there's a narcissistic mother and an enabler father, and I will go over that at some point. But also, if you're dealing with a narcissistic person in any area of your life or some other kind of toxic situation, you can reach out to me for a coaching consultation and I can help you with this situation and I can help you gain some clarity and give you some action steps so you can better handle the situation that you're in. And also, if you find my work valuable, you can feel free to support my work on Patreon. But jumping right into the video here, the narcissistic father. None of his behaviors here are going to be excusable in any way, but he may be abusive, belittling, constantly criticize, he might mistreat all of the kids, he might mistreat the mother, he might play favorites, he might have a golden child that it appears like he treats well, but it really does all depend on the specific family dynamic. But another variable here, I was presuming we're talking about a biological narcissistic father. When it's a biological narcissistic father, they will see the kids as extensions of themselves. And that doesn't mean they won't still be harmful, but it can help in some cases. But when it's a narcissistic stepfather, some of the worst cases of abuse and mistreatment I hear of are with a narcissistic stepfather. So that is something to mention there as well. And I think a lot of that is there really isn't the biological tie there. The stepfather has no biological tie, so he might care even less. But again, none of that is to excuse either a biological narcissistic parent's behavior or the narcissistic stepfather's behavior. None of it is acceptable. But those are all the ways that he might mistreat the mother and the kids. And if one of the kids has the courage to speak up about how they're being mistreated, then one of the worst things that can possibly happen occurs. And the enabler mother maybe blames the child for being mistreated, or maybe she says something like, "Oh, I guess you think you're so much better than me," or she'll make excuses for the narcissistic father's behavior, or she may say something like, "Well, that's just how your father shows love." And that's another awful one to say because this conditions the kids to associate mistreatment with love. That is not the message that you want to communicate to your kids. Or maybe she doesn't even believe the kids, or she'll just sweep the problems under the rug and pretend like they don't exist. None of these options are very good. But either way, she defends and excuses the narcissistic father's behavior. She might blame, "Oh, it's because he was drunk or because he was on drugs," but she's not validating her kid's experience. And at worst cases, she's blaming the kids for what's happened, or she's making them lie to the authorities about what's happened. None of these dynamics are good. But why does she do this? Unfortunately, she is selfish in this case, and she's also in a trauma bond as well. But either she's in a financial situation that the narcissistic father is providing something for her, and she doesn't want to leave this situation, or she doesn't want the hit to her image of having to break up the family. And instead, what she will do is she will sweep the problems under the rug and pretend like they don't exist so they can continue in the dysfunctional dynamic. And in this situation, especially when there's severe mistreatment of the kids, it is totally unacceptable, trauma bond or not, for the enabler mother to do this. It is simply unacceptable and unforgivable. There is no way around it, because there are other mothers out there who might be in a trauma bond as well, but they're going to try to protect their kids at all costs. And they're going to go out of their way and do everything they possibly can to make sure their children are safe. And granted, I know finances can be a big hurdle in these kinds of situations, but even so, the mother who is not going to be an enabler, she's going to do everything she possibly can to make sure her kids are safe and to protect them from the narcissistic father. But the enabler mother, she doesn't do that. She'll make excuses, she'll blame, she'll play the victim, she'll cry about how she's being mistreated herself, but then she'll ignore her children's issues. And granted, this is selfish, this is toxic, this might even be narcissistic, but at the end of the day, she is not protecting her kids, and she is not being what a healthy mother should be for her children. And the situation becomes awful for everyone involved. And I've heard stories like this. One of the people I just interviewed, Lisa Rogers, she had a story very similar to this. You should check out that interview, because if you've had this kind of experience as a child, you will probably identify a lot with Lisa's story. And Lisa is someone that has helped me a lot in my life, and I probably wouldn't be here doing what I'm doing if not for her help. So check out that interview and check out her Instagram page. Her Instagram link is in the bio there, but I vouch for her. She's helped me out a lot as well. But these are the damage that a narcissistic father and an enabler mother can do to a family. And the effects can be devastating, because the the children may think, wow, if my parents don't even love me, I must be unlovable. But if you get anything from this video, understand this: their inability to love you does not say anything about your ability to be loved. You are able to be loved by people that have the ability to be loving. But if you had narcissistic parents or an enabling parent, it is like asking someone who has no arms to hug you. They're just not going to be able to. And that does not forgive how they treated you. It does not forgive their lack of love, but it does explain it. And when you look at it like that, maybe it'll help you to not take it as personal and to let go of resentment. But again, I don't want to push people through that process. People will get to those places when they are ready. And it's not up to me to determine when other people are ready. But the enabler mother, selfish, toxic, narcissistic, and she fails to protect the kids. And another variation of this dynamic is she might parentify her kids. Parentification is when there is a parent-child role reversal, and she will confide in the kids as if they're another adult. And she might complain about how she's being mistreated by the narcissistic father, but then she's going to completely ignore how her own kids are being mistreated. She's playing the victim in this case, ignoring her children's needs, not loving them, and overall parentifying her kids in the role reversal. Not a good situation here. But when there's a narcissistic father and an enabler mother in a trauma bond, and for whatever reason, they're not able to separate and to break up, the consequences can be pretty dire. And I don't hear too many good outcomes from people that are unable to leave. And granted, I understand it's not always easy to leave. There are variables. There is financial variables at play. Maybe there's financial abuse at play by the narcissistic father. I totally get it. It's not always easy. But I do think it's very helpful to make a plan, notify friends, family, maybe even law enforcement, and try your best to get out of those situations, because there's very little that is worth having your children be mistreated. I would try to recommend everyone protect your kids at all costs. And granted, people might be listening to this and say to themselves, isn't that obvious? But no, it's not obvious, and there's plenty of people out there where that wasn't the case. But if you get anything from this video, remember, if your parents didn't love you, that doesn't say anything about your ability to be loved. People who are capable of loving will be able to love you. Your parents were more than likely just not capable, and they weren't capable of protecting you either if you were in a case like this. But if you got this far, please remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video if you liked it, comment below if you have a similar experience or you have something that you can contribute, and share this video with others that you think might benefit. But with that, thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.